Hello, I'm Michael Kurland, CEO and co-founder of Branded Group, an award-winning facility maintenance and construction management company that services multi-site commercial properties such as retail, restaurants, healthcare facilities, and educational institutions. Welcome to the Be Better podcast. Each week, I interview thought leaders from a variety of industries who will share their stories and the lessons they learn as they strive to be better for their clients, partners, employees, and their community. Are you ready to be better? Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Be Better podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kurland. Joining me today is Christel Tarare. She is the Global Client Services Leader for Gartner. Christel, welcome to the show. Please let the audience know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Hi, Michael. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. So I am indeed leading a client services team within Gartner conferences. And we have a global team across multiple regions looking after sponsors and exhibitors who participate at our Gartner conferences. I've been leading global client services team for over 10 years now. And as you can hear, I am originally from France. I am currently living in Weston, Connecticut in the US. And we relocated here about 3.5 years ago. My husband and my two daughters were 12 and 9-year-old.
Very nice. Well, welcome to the show. And thank you for being here. So I think a good place to start is kind of what we were talking about pre-show, is what does Gartner do? Let's let the audience know what Gartner does first, just a high level.
Mm-hmm. So we are a research and insight company that delivers actionable and objective insight to executives and their teams. And we have experts and tools that enable faster, smarter, and stronger performance of organizations' most critical priorities. And my role is specifically within the conferences arm of Gartner.
Great. And so let's talk about your career arc at Gartner. So you started off in the UK, you said 15 years ago, working for them because they were actually a client of yours and they liked your work so much that they brought you on board. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes. I was working at the time in an event marketing agency, and Gartner was my client. And one day there was an opportunity in the events business, and I decided to join the team.
Great. And so you went from, your event marketing space over to Gartner, and then talk about your three different roles at Gartner and what you did prior to.
Absolutely. So when I joined Gartner events, I basically look after the sponsorship operations team in our UK headquarters in Egham in Surrey. And after 5 years, I decided to move across our research organization, who had a very established client services organization back then. And I've always been passionate about client success and client service, and I wanted to learn from our research organization, who were known back then as a best-in-class services team. So I went to spend a few years on the research side of our business, and then 4 years ago got a phone call from our conferences business, who wanted me back to build a client services team dedicated for their sponsors and exhibitors within the conferences business, which happened to be located in Stamford, Connecticut. So it implies an international move for me and the family.
So what I'm hearing is that you must have been best in class in what you do to want them to relocate you from the UK to the United States to work on this client services, in this client services role. Is that fair to assume?
I'm too humble to say yes. Definitely. I guess, I've always been known for being passionate about driving client success and the success of others. And that has been, I guess, the brand I built for myself, but very much doing so through my people, passionate about driving my people's success in a view of driving our client success. And that has led to good outcomes.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think when you invest in your people, they will invest in you and your company, or you and your role. And it's something that we've held steady with at Branded Group, which is, we really invest in our people. We give them a lot of resources, but not only do we give them resources, we give them the flexibility and the ability to kind of flourish. And by doing so, they give us 110% every day because they want to come to work. So I found a happy. They always say I just got married this past year, and I learned real quick. Thank you. I learned real quick: happy wife, happy life. But I think that also transcends into the business world, where it's happy employees, happy business. So
Totally.
yeah. Do you agree? You obviously agree with that statement.
Yeah, and I'm always very conscious of, thinking about employee engagement. If you or, the listeners happen to read in the press, I think there's a staggering, only 36% of the North American workforce that actually is engaged and happy at work right now, obviously coming out of the pandemic, which was a challenging time for everyone. I always refer to the author Dan Pink when he talks about employee engagement, right? There's three components that he talks about: is that sense of purpose, the mastery, and the autonomy. And I'm always conscious of leading my team, making sure that they have a sense of purpose, that they're experts and they have the tools to be experts in their field, and they have the autonomy to run their business. And I think that has helped keeping the people engaged throughout the turmoil of the last few years.
Agreed. And Dan Pink is a great author for business-minded people. He definitely comes at it from a different angle, but I think it's the angle that people need to start coming at it from, in terms of employee engagement and culture. So I'd like to take that one step further too. Is I always tell my employees that my goal is to get them ready to be replaced, and train their people to replace them. And that's like a mind-blowing thing for some people. Like, what? I don't want to train my replacement. Well, you need to train your replacement so that you can move up. And then when you tell them that, like, I want to invest in you, I see you here for long term. I want a future for you. So in order for you to move up, I need you to be able to backfill your position. So yeah.
Totally. And we often talk about succession plan, right? Everybody needs to be ready and need to have a succession plan. And I always talk a lot about being better 1% every day, and everything we do, how can we make that 1% better? And that's why that podcast, right? Be Better. I was like, love this idea.
Oh, Christel, you are just plugging free plugs on the air. I love it. 1% better every day. It's great. That's there's a book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. You obviously read that.
Yeah.
That's the whole premise of the book. Get 1% better every day. And when you stack 1% on top every day, after a while, you're so much better than you were. But so let's talk about that, because you were living in the UK, I'm sure, having a very nice, comfortable life over there. And they came to you with a challenge and said, come to the US and, fix this client services team. So tell me what was going on with the team prior to you coming, and what you did when you came. You don't have to give me all your secret sauce, but give me some details as to, like, what was wrong, what you saw that you identified needing to repair, and how you repaired it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can say there was something wrong. I think the team, a true services team, didn't exist at the time. It was a small group of people that were doing a role that was both like operational as well as a bit of service delivery. and they were spread too thinly to be able to really deliver that value to our clients, right? So I was very lucky that the decision was made to create that dedicated services team. So there was a bit of pain, right, in a way, that we had to remove the operational role from them and really keep them focused on the value delivery. So the first thing I did was actually really painting that destination, that picture, that postcard of how do we want to be known for in the next few years, and kind of put in front of them a 5-year roadmap and say, here's where we are today. We're a reactive client service team, and we're going to now, in a few years' time, be known for being proactive and being known for delivering value to clients and being known for keeping our clients loyal.
And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and also painting that, vision was really important.
And that's a huge culture change from going from reactive to proactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long did that take, and was the team receptive with everything that you brought?
Yeah, so the big part was to get the right people in. So I invested a lot of time in finding individuals that were passionate about driving the success of others, passionate about client success, but also very comfortable talking on the phone, picking up the phone, and handling conversation with sales individuals as well. So we kind of focused on really showing them the value in them talking to clients. They realize how much more fun it is to actually build relationship with clients and own the relationship versus relying on maybe the sales counterpart in doing so. So there was a lot of work around that. But the people were everything, right? And some individuals, frankly, decided that maybe that was not what they made them, get up in the morning and go. They rather focused on operational aspects, which was fine. And then we, helped redirect some of those individuals. But mostly the team was excited about the change.
Yes, I can tell you, so leading the sales team at Branded Group and running the company in general, and I will say most of our employees are of the millennial status. And one thing that the millennial generation does not like to do is actually pick up the phone. They like to text and they like to email, but they do not want to engage in a conversation with anyone. I don't know what it is about that. But, so
100%.
Yes. So it seems like you got full buy-in from your team for the most part, and got the people redirected, like you said. So I would say it sounds like you're very adept in team engagement and inspiration for your team. So how are you empowering your team to be change agents and leaders in this new environment and this new client services group?
Mm-hmm. So to go back to the mastery piece, right, and make sure that they all have the tools, resources they need to be successful in their role. So they feel that they are, experts, and they actually have confidence in talking to clients, talking to their sales business partners. But most importantly, that autonomy piece and really letting them own their clients and their business, while we have this kind of collaborative environment where they feel comfortable coming to any peers or any of their managers if they're unsure about something, if they need some support. They know that everything we do and that drives this team is about their success as individuals and the success of our clients.
So it sounds to me like you're a big proponent of delegation. Is that fair to say?
Delegation, I don't know if I would call it delegation, because for me, delegation has a notation of maybe giving something that I don't want to do, but I'm more like I'm going to give the opportunity to my team to do something that maybe that's going to give them an opportunity to grow and learn, right? It's all intentional. I would never give a task because I don't want to do it or because I don't have time to do it. I will give a task because I see an opportunity for that individual to grow and develop and be a better version of themselves by having exposure to that project or that task.
Yeah. So I understand where you're coming from. For me, delegation is empowerment. And I think that's the word that I probably should have used is empowerment. You are empowering your team to do these things to help them grow. So give me some success stories. How has the team grown? Where are they from where you started to where you're at now? And have people climbed up that ladder from under your tutelage?
Yeah, absolutely. So initially we had, I want to say maybe 8. Yeah, we were a team of like 8 individuals. We're now a team of 30.
Oh, wow.
And I've got a manager, people leader in each of the regions. So one in America, one in Europe, who looks after the rest of the world. And I've got one who is specifically looking after our event conferences portfolio. So a series of leaders have grown. Some of them started as manager and now senior managers. And I also have some individual in the team that started as client services partner, have grown as senior client services partner. And we are opening some new roles as well coming up as we are rebuilding our conferences business that has been affected by the pandemic.
Absolutely. So is that starting to come back now?
Absolutely, yes. So very excited that we're returning to in-person conferences. So the team is over the moon. Well, we have individuals that are passionate about in-person events, and they've been starved from those experiences over the last 2 years, right? So everybody's coming back to life, and we will be traveling again and creating those exhibitor attendee engagements that we love creating.
Yeah, I can tell you we have our first in-person conference in 2 years in Nashville in about 3 weeks. And I've since pretty much stepped back from sales, but I'm going anyway because I just want to see people and shake hands and be in person. All the things that the conferences and the circuit definitely brought to life. Where, you have these industry friends that you see once or twice a year, normally just at these conferences, right? So I'm sure there's other people out there just like me.
Yeah, no, totally. We all we can't wait, basically, getting on that plane and seeing everyone. I have team members that actually have never met, hired them through, WebEx, and can't wait to actually meet them in person.
I have the same thing. I hired 2 salespeople over the pandemic, and I've met them over Zoom a million times, but I have never shook their hands. So I'm looking very forward to meeting them in person in the coming weeks. So that'll be great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Let's talk a little bit about leadership, because it sounds like over the course of your career that you have been a great leader and provoker of your employees. But what would you say your leadership style is?
I would say that I'm a servant leader. I would definitely classify myself that I always think about my people as my own clients, and I'm fully invested in their success. And I'm always consciously kind of developing this, what I would say, an authentic leadership presence that really focuses on, I guess, what we call the smart and the hard side. So very much like focus on delivering results and the business, but also making sure that everything I do is mindful, intentional, and really supporting their individual growth and development wherever they want to go, right? First and foremost for me is that obviously we keep them, right, in Gartner conferences or at Gartner overall, but I see it as a wider ecosystem. If one individual would be happier and doing greater things outside, let be it, they may benefit another organization, but it's all about them that matters to me.
Yeah, I love servant leadership. I think I identify with that as well. I'm all about my people. We just recently had one of our top leaders in our company put in her 2 weeks notice. And, in the industry that I'm in the past, when that would happen, it was lawyers and it was non-competes and all this other red tape. And it was because you were fearful of that person jumping to a similar company and taking the clients. And, I called her and I said, look, is this a thing where you just aren't happy here, or what was it? And she was like, I got offered a lot more money and I got offered a promotion that I was kind of roadblocked here. And I was like, well, then I support you going. And I said, please, for 1 year, please don't take our clients or our employees. And I think that's fair, right? And I said, and best of luck to you. And she said, I have no intention of doing that. And so, I think she's going to flourish and pretty much run the new company that she's going to, and they're going to be happy with the hire that they got. So we do promote them on the exterior too. Again, we don't like to. We'd rather them stay and promote them from within. But serving the people is definitely something that is on the forefront of my mind at all times. So, so how over time though has this changed? Have you always been a servant leader, or is this something that you've evolved to over the course of your career?
It's a great question. I think I've always been, I guess, underlying, right? Always enjoyed helping others. Even in my personal life, I truly get a kick from helping a friend in need or somebody who is not feeling too great and being that, energy pill that's going to help them get back up. So always enjoyed that part. And then I was very lucky to have a couple of inspirational leaders, very focused on people throughout my career, that really showed me how much people matter and how much you can get done when you have the right people in place and when you're taking them in the right direction and guiding them. So I would say yes, underlying, I've always been that kind of person.
Now, let me ask you, in your career, have you ever had someone who was not that kind of leader, that was not pro people and, pro leadership and kind of like lifting you up? Did you ever have kind of the opposite in your path?
Yeah, probably. At Gartner, we're very lucky. We have amazing leaders, but you have some leaders who are much more focused on maybe the smart aspect, instead of the heart side. And by that, I mean maybe more focused on the data, right? And sometimes not always balancing the smart and the heart with ease. So it's I've seen some individuals, right, being demotivated by some, I guess, actions or words that were said because the heart was not taking into account. So I'm always trying to balance the two. We are here to lead a business, and the business have specific needs at the end of the day. But to get the people, right, to do what the business needs, we definitely need to take into account the heart and understand what makes them tick and understand what their goals are and how the experience in the current role can contribute to the next steps.
Yeah, I hear a lot of emotional intelligence, and
That's one of my strengths. Yeah.
Yes, it's coming through. It's coming through very high, and I also can identify with that. And it's funny because the way you're describing the heart and the smart, that would be me and my business partner. I'm the heart, he's the smart, and he leads with,
Mm-hmm.
he's very cut and dry. Do this task so that we can achieve this goal, and that's the mission. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do not fail, right? And I'm like, well, you had a bad day. Okay, well, some of my employees will probably laugh and say, yeah, you might be the smart sometimes too, because you're not always the heart. But
Yeah, and I guess part of it is really, which we haven't talked about, is really shrinking that change. And when we think about driving change, you may have this glorious, I guess, destination vision, but it may sound really overwhelming, right, to the team. And it's how we're going to actually break it down in achievable chunks and tasks that are going to help them get 1% better, 1% closer to that vision. And sometimes we underestimate, right, how important it is to break this down for people. So
yeah, I can completely empathize with what you're saying. I actually just had an epiphany in the last week, and I've gone back to being almost too emotional about a lot of things I've been thinking about,
uh-huh.
and I've been starting to take negative things personally. And I had to remind myself that, to your point, like, it's not personal. It's not, they're not doing these things to me, and they may just be overwhelmed and like doing something that came out of being overwhelmed in the roadmap not being broken down into chunks, and then I'm getting overwhelmed because I feel like they were doing it directly to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a good reminder that it's got to be broken into chunks. Like, these people are compartmentalized as employees, and they have lives outside of work, and who knows what's going on in their lives, right? And
Yeah.
what they're going through. So I think that's a really excellent point that you bring up. So,
and I think you're right about the what's happening in their life right now, especially the last 2 years. We had to be really mindful of that mental health and making sure that our people didn't burn out, and did a lot of coaching around looking after yourself first before you can look after clients. It's so easy, right? You're like at a desk in front of a screen in your bedroom or at the kitchen table, and you can easily just be on back-to-back WebEx calls all day without even taking fresh air 5 minutes during the whole day. And then you wonder why you're totally like fuzzy, and you can do this for 1 day, 2 days. But when it's like 2 years, we really had to kind of coach them around looking after themselves first.
Yeah, I totally agree. We have our exec team. One of our top leaders, she is exactly what you just described. Works all the time, throws herself into work. And I finally yelled at her the other day and said, I didn't yell at her. I sternly spoke to her and said, you need a vacation, and a vacation does not consist of you putting time off in and then sitting around your house and still half working because you don't want extra work to pile up. It means go somewhere and do something. So
Yeah.
I really encourage everyone in my company to use their time, and use it wisely. Don't just burn a day off because you're going to lose it at the end of the year. Like, go, save 7 days and go, or 5 days or whatever, and go somewhere nice. Drive somewhere, get a hotel room, and take a little downtime, a little me time. So I think that's great that you brought that up, and I appreciate that, and I hope the audience is really listening to that. So
yeah, and I was very conscious of that burnout, right? I was really worried that it may hit anyone in the team, and having heard about it, it's potentially you lose somebody for months and months while they recover. And I read a book actually just to educate myself on burnout and what it means and how can it be avoided. It's called The Burnout Fix. And it was really interesting to read about what the author was saying. She was saying the importance of the 3 S's in your life. And she was talking about the 3 S's being silence, sanctuary, and solitude. And it really resonated with me because the silence part was really about setting rules for your the technology. Because if I think about my team, myself, well, we spend all day on WebEx meetings, WebEx calls. Then we have our mobile phone, potentially, beeping throughout the day with, as mums, other mums contacted, school contacted, doctors upon everything, calls on the tech. And I was reflecting on how much time actually does my team have without any technology. So I invited them to think about that, right? Even if it's just 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes. And the sanctuary part was really connecting with the natural world and going for a walk, being in the nature. And the 3rd S was the solitude, spending time with themselves only. And as a full-time working mom, that's tough, apart from when everybody is still asleep in the morning or when everybody's asleep at night. But making a conscious effort of those 3 S's has made a huge difference.
Yeah, I don't have kids yet, but I can tell you I've combated this for years. I do not have a ringer on my phone or my text messages because I found myself like Pavlov's dog. Every time I heard that beep, I jumped for that phone, and it just creates this anxiety.
No notification.
Yeah, you don't need the anxiety. If there's an emergency, there will be a message left, or they will keep calling your phone. And I check my phone periodically, but I'm not going to be waiting for that beep unless I am expecting a call. And then the sanctuary, I love that. I think everyone should be out in nature. I take a 2-mile walk every day, and it's to the beach. That's my safe place. That's my happy place. And solitude, I just incorporated me days. Now I don't have children, so I don't know how that will work going forward. But I highly recommend a me day or a me afternoon for everyone. If you're single and you live at home, by yourself, take yourself on a date, go to the movies, take yourself to dinner. And if you're in a relationship with or without kids, take a half day to yourself, a morning walk, go get coffee at the coffee shop by yourself and just be alone in your thoughts. Because when you're not alone in your thoughts, they can spin up in your head for a very long time and drive you crazy. So
yeah, absolutely.
So Christel, this has been a great show. Thank you so much for coming on. If the audience wants to get a hold of you, how can they do so?
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. So if you look for Christel Tarare, Tarare, I am there and available to connect with anyone, and always enjoy talking to peers or working moms or non-working moms, anyone facing challenges, really driving change, whether it's in their personal life or business life. Happy to chat.
Great. And audience, until next time. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that today's episode inspired you to become a purpose-driven leader in your career or your community. There's no doubt that when we lead with purpose, we can change lives. If you enjoyed today's show, I'd be grateful if you would take a moment to rate us on your preferred listening platform. To learn more about Branded Group's Be Better experience and how we provide industry-leading, on-demand facility maintenance, construction management, and special project implementation, visit us at www.branded-group.com. Be sure to follow us on social media, and you can also reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. Until next time, be better.
This podcast was produced by Heartcast Media.